Hello everybody, welcome back to The Last Word. Newcastle Fans TV. Yes, hello everyone, we are outside. It's beautiful, that's the only thing that's beautiful today. That's wonderful St James's Park behind us. I'm joined by Mr Mulliner. And this is The Last Word. We're going to be talking about Graeme Jones and the manager situation towards the end of this video, but we're going to talk about the match itself, which was minus positives. But we'll begin with the lineup, Sam. It was the same size, same formation. Only change was Shelby on the bench for Hendrick.
And Dubravka.
And Dubravka was back, which is good to see. Overall, thoughts?
I thought there was hints that Dubravka might get the nod today, and I was a bit disappointed, especially, well, I'm very disappointed now in hindsight because Darlow had a mare. But I thought, if he's fit enough to be on the bench, he's fit enough to start. So it would have been nice to have seen Dubravka back. Kraft over Share in a back 5-3, whatever, is always going to raise eyebrows.
Why is he not playing?
I don't know, because you need that. If you're playing a back five, you need one to bring the ball out and bring the ball forward, which Share does fantastically well. He's one of the best at doing that. To have three quite stagnant centre-backs.
The thing is, right, we've criticised Bruce loads on this channel for not playing players in position. You've got Emil Kraft, Matt Ritchie and Ryan Fraser, and possibly even ESM to some extent. There's 4 players out of position. What we're learning here?
Just how much Graeme Jones had influence on the squad back end of last season. But then again, Bruce still did put players out of position, but maybe not to the same extent.
The thing is, I know I'm going left track side, and I said this off camera to you, they're still all Bruce's coaches here.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. I expect they will eventually go, Agnew and Stephen Clement, once a new manager's appointed. I think Graeme Jones has said his future's safe, which makes sense because he obviously came in separate. Look, Graeme Jones, good coach, England set up, but failed miserably at Luton. This formation is his formation, the one that we hounded Bruce out for. He's not a manager.
Chelsea's lineup, they had loads of players missing, but the thing is, they've got quality. They've got absolute quality. I mean, if Lukaku played today, I think would have been another Norwich 7-0 potentially, because he eats them for dinner. Well, let's crack on with it. A very, very frustrating parking the bus setup, Sam. I think up until the 65th minute we were all right defensively, but let's talk about that first half. The setup, we could see it a mile off. We'll park the bus and try and hit them with Wilson in ESM.
Yeah, we were rock solid, and the reason why we were rock solid was because we had 11 men behind the ball the whole time. Can
you understand that though?
Yes, to an extent, but the thing is, look at the players they had missing. The players that they were missing were their prime attacking ones. Their front three were nothing to be really scared of.
What was it, Hudson-Odoi, and then it was Havertz up top, and then Ziyech. Yeah.
That's nothing to be scared of, is it really? But I agree with you, if Lukaku was playing then it would have been 7 or 8. Jesus. The defensive line worked very well. They stepped up nicely and caught Havertz and Ziyech offside lots during the first half an hour in particular. That was working really, really well. There was still a couple of individual errors on the ball. Jones himself has said in his pressers we need to be better on the ball, and my word, do we, my friend. But
even kids don't like that performance.
Exactly. Well, you can't argue. They can't argue.
So,
it was poor all round.
But having said that, we would have took a point.
Yeah,
it's funny that 0-0 half time, the lads go in, and it's kind of like, all right, okay, we're not getting beat, but we've got nothing going forward. What frustrated me, and we'll talk about them taking the lead shortly, because it was still happening in the second half, is that we're going long ball again, and we've got Callum Wilson's 5 for 10. ESM's about 5 for 10.
Wilson's good in the air, but there's no point.
He's got 3 centre-backs around him.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, it would be nice to have, as I alluded to in scoring the players, that get the ball down and run at these centre-backs because they're not the fastest. Thiago Silva has had more difficult sauna sessions than he's had on that pitch today, and he's getting on a bit. So to see him not...
It's a lack of ideas.
It's
a lack of ideas. Oh, we haven't got an idea. Let's go long.
Yeah, that's all it is. And the amount of times, how many times when it looked like we could go forward, did we just turn and go, Darlow? whose distribution was appalling today.
And then it went long again, and then it was inviting more pressure, and then we didn't have a shot until literally a team shot right at the very end. But it was all a case of when they score first, more will follow.
Oh yeah, as soon as first goal went in, that was it, game over. I fully believe Graeme Jones came here today hoping for a 0-0.
Great finish, mine, by Reece James.
Yeah, good player. Yeah, guess what? European champions, good at football. Who'd have thought it?
European finalists, Euros as well. 1-0 down, great finish. And then the score, so it wasn't that long after, was it? We make it 2-0. Again, could Darlow do anything about that second goal because it comes back to James and he fires it in?
That just all summed up his afternoon, didn't it? He's had an absolute shocker today, a real bit of a mare. So when it's not going your way, them kind of things happen. I mean, would 2 or 3, would 2-0 have reflected badly on us? Not really. It was about fair. 3. Fair
training
enough.
Session.
Yeah.
It was a training session. I think it's funny you say that because every time Dubravka seems to be coming back, Darlow's form drops. I
said this to Johnny before we started the instant reaction. You go back, and it's happened more than once. Every time Dubravka comes back and he's on the bench, Darlow shits it.
Yeah, because he knows that there's pressure, so maybe he can't handle. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. The third one, Darlow gives away a penalty. Jorginho obviously steps up. You know what it's like. He's got a great record. It's 3-0. It's a case of how many do you want. But just rewinding back, because I heard you say it in the instant reaction, the substitution before that first goal, is that something we need to look at and think there's a bit of confusion there? Because if that doesn't happen, did Chelsea go on and score?
Yeah, why did that happen? Why? We were the first sub board up. Hayden off.
We all clapped him off.
And we thought, oh, that's an interesting change, quite attacking. Fair enough. We saw Willock warming up as well, so I don't, and stripped and ready to come on, so I don't think his change would have been far behind anyway. But Hayden off for Almiron, that's interesting. Okay, Hayden goes to go off, claps his fans, says his ta-ra, and all of a sudden Chelsea made 2 subs and Hayden's still on the pitch. What's going on there? Chelsea score, then the exact same change is made along with Willock. Very, very strange. Very strange. Shades of Bruce against Arsenal and Jetro Willems, and that clusterfuck. It was another clusterfuck as well. So that's not going to look good on Graeme Jones.
It's not going to look. It's not going to look because it's going to think, well, had a minute. Has that had an influence on players' mentality with the goal?
Switched off.
Yeah, switched off, and obviously you've seen the 2 lads that came on, as Sam's talked about. We've seen Shelby get a few minutes towards the end. He might start next weekend against Brighton, which we'll talk briefly about. But 3-0 full time. We expect it to get feet. Let's take it. But I said to the driving preview, I don't mind getting beat as long as there's a bit of fight. I didn't say that. I thought it was a case of we had no ideas going forward. Let's go long ball, hope for the best. Defensive line. It was very, very Bruce performance. Here's Graeme Jones.
Game plan worked for 65 minutes. Ready to make positive substitutions. I needed to assess what shape he was going to go into at that point, so delayed it. By the time we delayed it, we're 1-0 down. They're the fine margins that this league is so ruthless that it'll do that to you. We had a little bit of momentum before their first goal. So up to 65 minutes, exactly where I wanted to be. And after that, I was a little bit disappointed with conceding 3 goals in 15 minutes.
So that was Graeme Jones' performance. The one thing I'll credit Graeme Jones, which is different to Bruce, is that he tells it like it is. He doesn't give you any bullshit. However, Sam, the 2 games that we witnessed, me and Johnny were doing Sellers Park, and we were awful doing there. We were shocking. We get a point. That was a massive point gained. And today, yes, we expect it to go down, but where's the fight? And there's players playing out of position, and it's very much like those 2 performances. I know you can't change a side like that, but those 2 performances, if you put a mask on Graeme Jones, you'll say that's Steve Bruce.
Yeah, 100%. The difference is Graeme Jones speaks better at press conferences than Steve Bruce did, which is lovely. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't good enough today. You say we expect to get beat. Yes, to an extent, of course, I agree with you. They're top of the league, European champions, and so on. But look at the players they're missing. We've got a good record here against them.
Yeah. There's no fight.
No, there wasn't. It was very
lack of ideas.
Yeah, the tactics employed 11 men behind the ball. Jeez. And then, going for it in the second half by having 10 men behind the ball. Wow. Give it to Maxi and hope for the best. Failing that, give it to Darlow so he can pump it long. Brilliant. Plan A and Plan B right there.
And whatever you think of the strikers on the bench, Joe Litton didn't get off the bench and Dwight Gale didn't get off the bench again, so it's just a common theme that strikers don't play. But let's talk about the situation at the club. We're finished, well, we're at the bottom, second bottom at the minute. We are struggling. The point gaps is just going to increase until we get a manager in. Graeme Jones said he had the 2 games. He's now had those 2 games. I haven't been impressed. You haven't been impressed. If we don't get a manager in by Wednesday or Thursday, we've got a manager in place by the time we go to Brighton. New ideas, fresh ideas, desperate. That was the word I was looking for. Or we're becoming desperate for new ideas in this team.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to get beat by Brighton. And then between now and January is so important, because obviously we've got a horrible December and we can't be cut adrift at the bottom. Otherwise we're in deep trouble. We've had a relatively pleasant start fixture-wise and made an absolute pig's ear of it. Cost Steve Bruce's job, and we're really up against it now. Really up against it. A new manager has to be appointed. I agree with you. What, Tuesday at the latest?
It's got to be. He's got to get his ideas out in that training pitch, even if it's something small that's different. Is anybody that, because you look at the bookies on Boyle Sports, and it keeps changing every day. But the 2 that are always at the top is Favre and Fonseca, and I know other names come in, but those 2 have been consistently at the top 2 for the past week. Are those the right guys?
I'd rather have Favre over Fonseca, but I wouldn't be overly against Fonseca, but because he looks fun. But I don't know whether he'd be a right fit for something like this at the moment, where we're fighting for our lives at the bottom, whereas I think Favre would be more adept.
Great stuff for Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Correct, yeah.
Love saying that.
Yeah, odds on Boyle Sports, and then before I went on Boyle Sports to have a look, I looked at an odds comparison site on Thursday night, and it was 13-2 the field. Now, I've worked in the betting industry for nearly 10 years and I've never known an ex-manager market 13-2 the field, ever. So just goes to show, no one knows. No one knows. It might be Favre, it might be Fonseca, it could be someone out of the blue. Another rival firm had Unai Emery as favourite Friday night. Lampard's been favourite at one point. A guy who was, the name of which escapes me, he's coaching in Saudi Arabia. He went favourite briefly. It's no one knows.
No one knows who the managers. We need it. And we want to know what you lot think. Who's the name that you want? Would you go for Premier League experience? Would you go for someone abroad because let's face it, in a couple of years' time, I will have players, but right now, we need to get up that table and claw ourselves away from the bottom 3. We're going to love you and leave you. If you haven't seen the watch...
No. Who do you want?
Ooh, Arsene Wenger. No. I said this?
Yeah, well, I know you have.
I did an article on it.
That's not realistic.
Is it not? He's worked with the Saudis. Not so much as... If he doesn't come as a manager, I would put him upstairs. There's your sporting director. Because what he did from Arsenal, from the younger ones will probably not know. Me and Sam will know when Highbury was Arthur Stadium, overage players completely changed that club, got them into the new stadium, and look where Arsenal now.
Highbury had a bit about it though. I'd seen a Highbury over the Emirates, but I digress. But so who do you want as manager? So
I would probably go someone British for the short term, and if you can get a no to safe answer like an Eddie Howe or a Brendan Rodgers, would you get? How far can Brendan Rodgers take Leicester? Money's out the equation. Oh, it's going to cost 16 million. That's pennies now. That's pennies. I know we say that.
He ain't leaving
I know, but that's probably what someone who's got Premier League experience. I don't want a big Sam to get you out. Nothing like I'm talking a bit of higher calibre.
Would you take Martinez?
He's done good stuff at Wigan. I think he should have won something with Belgium.
Yeah, I think he's underachieved.
I think he's underachieved at Belgium because this is their golden generation.
I think he underachieved at Everton as well. He had one good season. But on the flip side, if he is appointed, would I get behind him? Absolutely.
Yes, I would, but it wouldn't be like, I cannot wait to go and meet him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like running the stadium again.
Well, you know who I want? I said it on the radio.
Go on, say it again, because people might not have heard that.
Good evening. I want Unai Emery.
He wants Unai Emery, who has a fantastic record in Europa League. That man just wins it every time he's in it. But we will say this time now, go back, check the videos, go and have a look at the watch along. Big shout out to Steve, well done mate, on his first watch along. And we've got the match reaction from Sam and Johnny, which is already out, and then the score and the players, which we've done here tonight. We mixed it up, go and have a look at that as well. Ta-da everyone.